What's up, mortals? It's Dante from the Anime Underworld, and today we are going over chapter 239 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, titled The Blood of Atonement. We got a nice cover page of the true King Arthur. And again, kind of like last week, a warning about self-harm and all that. But honestly, I don't think it's really warranted. Why do I say that? Well, let's get into it. So we begin chapter 239 where we left off, with Arthur making himself a human shish kebab in YouTube friendly terms, and pulls out the dagger, with blood gushing out like a geyser. Okay, that was not YouTube friendly. Everyone is in shock of what the King of Chaos has done. But also notice that something strange is going on. The blood that spewed forth from the King of Chaos is now floating in the air. It's not touching the ground or anything. Meanwhile, the origins of its content doesn't really seem to look all that good. But that's when the Knight of Death and the Knight of Pestilence come to Arthur's aid. Despite their titles, King Arthur is in the hands of the four knights' two best and only healers. With Percival, the Knight of Death, telling Tristan to heal that wound for him, and Tristan, the Knight of Pestilence, confirms, alright, you keep his life spirit in there for me. Again, despite their titles, great healers. But it's then that the four Knights of the Apocalypse find out why Arthur did this. While Arthur is being tended to, Merlin steps forward with the blood flying in the air, telling them they may try to take Arthur's chaotic force, but only he can be its true vessel. His blood rules over the chaos, never being seduced by it. She then says two words, Holy Grail, and the four knights bear witness to something incredible. The blood Merlin caught begins to solidify, no, transform into something iconic. The blood transforms into the Holy Grail, the most important object ever in Arthurian legends. So the theories last week were right. Arthur's blood transformed into the Holy Grail, but instead of the Jesus connection, now it has a chaos connection. With the mighty chalice floating in the air, Merlin explains, give this grail to Doves. Have him use it to reforge all of your weapons. Though Gawain is rightfully confused about what exactly is so special about this blood. And it's here that Arthur explains what's so special about the blood that he spilled. A weapon infused with my blood will cancel out all chaos-driven protection. It will enable you to fully kill Cath. So this is why the other Knights of the Apocalypse don't have their weapons created by Dubs yet. They needed one final ingredient, a key component to make them capable of defeating Cath, and it requires Arthur's blood. Although I do wonder, what would happen if you drink from the Grail? Percival is in complete shock that Arthur did that for them. He could have died from such a stunt, but the King of Chaos tells him that this is all my doing. I have no intention of clinging to life. Man, that depression is hitting him, and it's hitting him hard. But the Knight of Pestilence looks at the King of Chaos, then just scolds and wags his finger at him, telling him, none of that, alright? A king can't act that carelessly. It's the job of a king to keep his nation safe, along with the people that support it. Wow, Tristan is giving him that talk. And this puts a smile on Arthur's face, telling the young prince, you certainly do resemble those two. Thank you. Is that a quote from your father? I don't know, man. I think that's something that Elizabeth would say instead of Meliodas. But Tristan tells him, oh no, nothing like that. It's more of a guide of what not to do. I mean, fair point. Then Percival just shoves him, not push, shoves Tristan aside and yells, hey, sir. Then looks to the King of Chaos with desperation in his eyes and worry in his voice, asking him, Grandpa, I mean Holy Knight Vargius, do you still see him as a traitor? That name, Vargius, definitely rung a bell in Arthur's mind, saying, it can't be. Is it really you? and through sheer emotional pain tells Percival, the only traitor here is me. The King of Chaos tells the Knight of Death, you would never find a holy knight as splendid as he. He tried to protect you, his grandson, despite his concerns about me. Then we see something akin to a flashback with a younger Vargius and a very tiny baby Percival. I mean, just look at how tiny he is. It's cute. With Arthur telling him he never hesitated to dedicate his life to the plight of others. A true holy knight all the way. And that is what Percival desperately needed to hear the most. What Ironside told him about his own father. In the end, Percival finally learned the truth, that Vargius was no traitor, that he was actually the best holy knight of Camelot ever. That brings a smile to his lips and tears flowing from his eyes. While Percival is crying tears of joy, Gawain is looking upon the scene and smiling, knowing that all their worries from before and everything she heard about from her adopted father, that this is actually the true original King Arthur, not the tyrant that they fear. Joining in on this scene is Gawain's mother, telling her daughter, "It moves me just as much seeing you for the first time in 18 years. Though Gawain is trying to not, cry or be emotional before her mom, telling her to don't be so hyperbolic, Mom. You were there for me this whole time. I mean, she's not wrong, but she was unfortunately using a doll. But what Gawain hears next makes her blush red. No, I mean it. Seeing you with my own eyes is so different from through the eyes of a golem. You truly have grown, haven't you?" Merlin adds on, "Would you mind giving your mother a better look at your face?" But Gawain is not trying to be too emotional. She's trying to keep her emotions in check here, telling her, but if I show only to you, Mom, I know that Dad will all be pouty about it later, so..." But then Merlin calls out her name, Gawain. And then, with tears in her eyes and a quiver on her lips, the Knight of Famine looks upon her mother, the bore sin of gluttony. The daughter is finally truly acknowledged by her real, actual mother, and gives her a much-needed, loving smile. After waiting for 18 years, Gawain couldn't wait a second more. With tears in her eyes and happiness in her voice, she cries out, "Mom," and flies into Merlin's arms. Finally, after so long, she could finally be embraced by her one true mother. By the way, do you think this is going to happen? Do you think Gawain is actually going to find out that Merlin has another true form? I'm a little worried, yet very curious as to how that's going to play out. And it's here that any negativity or bad blood, sorry for the joke, starts to fade out, with Arthur telling them, "Perhaps all I wanted to leave my fate in the hands of others. Who can say whether there's any value to me living on? If you abandoned me and I died, I'm sure that'd simply be fate as well." But with a small smile on his face, the King of Chaos looks to the four Knights of the Apocalypse, his supposed destroyers. "But you didn't. You saved someone like me. I intend to do whatever I'm still capable of. He might only have a small bit of chaos left inside him, but surely it'll be enough to help fight back against Cath." And three of the four knights smile on to the king, grateful for his help and that they managed to save his life, pulling him out from the depths of depression, giving him hope for a better future for everyone. That is, except for the God of War, with his back turned and a wicked glare in his eyes. He tells the King of Chaos, "Well, I didn't come here to rescue you, and I ain't about to forgive you either." Damn, and after everything that's happened, that is cold, Lancelot. But the King of Chaos understands this. That smile that he had is now gone, replaced with a little sad frown. Way to go, man, you killed the vibe. And not wanting to be in the same room as him anymore, the God of War says that he's stepping out, much to the anger and confusion of the other Knights of the Apocalypse. But why is he acting like this? Why is he acting like a little bitch? Because the God of War was thinking about Guinevere. Of course he was. And thinking about the last time that they met. How, when the last time that they met, she was being forced to marry a monster. The same monster that Cath and Merlin are responsible for. Okay, I guess that kind of explains why he's being so petty against Arthur, but again, you're kind of directing your anger towards the wrong people. You should be doing it at Merlin because this is all her fault, and Cath because he's the one that's been doing this, not Arthur.
Meanwhile,
back in Britannia, the Kingdom of Leonis is hard at work with everyone pitching in to rebuild everything that Cath had destroyed. Reconstructing buildings and repairing everything one brick at a time, with every man, woman, and child lending a helping hand. It takes just a little help to build something grand. It's then that we cut to the King of Camelot, aka Guinevere's dad, who kinda actually reminds me of the Sultan from Aladdin, giving praise to the forces of Leonis. Thank you so much for all your effort, saving and securing Britannians who came from Camelot. The royal family of Camelot and all our citizens will sing the praises of the King and Queen of Leonis, as well as the 7 deadly sins, for generations. I'm sorry for the voice, but that's how I think he talks. But he's not talking to Meliodas, he's talking to Gilthunder. Now, Cardinal Gilthunder, I would like very much to meet Meliodas myself to offer my thanks. And Gilthunder, who looks very, very tired, responds, I'm sorry, my lord, but His Majesty will need to rest for a while. Luckily, the king is understandable, telling Gilthunder, yes, no need to force the matter at all. Tell him to get all the rest he needs for me. With a nervous smile on his face, Gilthunder replies, I will, but Guinevere, due to her magic, sadly knows what happened to the fate of Queen Elizabeth. Elsewhere in Britannia, a group of caravans are slowing down and resting, with someone asking, how long will it take to return to Camelot, do you think? With someone responding, a good 10 days, with all the citizens we're taking. Sure wish I was back home now. In that caravan, a small girl is running with a bag just as big as she is, gleefully stepping along, and meets up with her big sister, cheering, hey, big sis, here, I got some food, with her older sister telling her to shut up, and informs her, don't let dad overhear us, we'll be in big trouble. But the little sister says, oh, don't say that, I bet it collapsed on the street after losing its mommy. And judging by that tale, oh no, they should have left that cat for dead. The big sister does not know this yet and tells her younger sister, that doesn't matter. Our father hates cats. If he finds it, he might toss it into the pot and eat it. Which severely disappoints her younger sister, saying, aw, he won't do that. It's then that she notices something out of the ordinary. She looks down at the ground and notices boots. Her dad's boots. The sisters look into the wagon and cry out for their cute little kitty. Did you drag those out here, kitty? And warn him, if you're naughty, our dad really will eat you. Unfortunately for these girls, they made a shocking discovery. In Soviet Russia, cat eats dad. Yeah, these girls should not have been worried about the dad finding the cat, rather than the cat finding the dad. That's right, folks, Cath is back in his cute little defenseless chibi form, and he is hungry. And that is how we end chapter 239, with Cath having a little snack and is probably about to have himself a full course meal. So we got a couple of things to look forward to in the future. Now we have the final ingredients for the 4 Knights of the Apocalypse to get a much needed upgrade. in the form of them achieving their own new sacred treasures. Dubs can reforge their weapons and coat them with the blood of King Arthur, giving them a way to bypass Cath's chaos-enhanced defenses, something that the 7 Deadly Sins were sadly lacking. Though I am a little disappointed. I kind of thought that Arthur was going to do something similar to what Cath did, but less scary and less evil. But this works fine, even though, aside from Lancelot, the other 3 members of the 4 Knights of the Apocalypse kind of need to get up there to 7 Deadly Sins level, and they're just not there yet. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it needs to happen. Now that Cath has returned, taking on his cute little chibi form and is very, very hungry. I mean, we all remember what he was like before, right? Now that Cath is back, he's only going to be a member of time before he smells blood. Or rather, Arthur's blood. Well, we're going to have to wait and see in the next chapter. If you love 7 Deadly Sins and 4 Knights of the Apocalypse material, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for chapter 240. We'll have a video review out next week. This has been Dante from the Anime Underworld, and I'll see you mortals later.